Warning, this episode contains strong language or mature themes. Parental discretion is advised.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. All right.
Cool. Welcome to this podcast is Uncalled For.
What's uncalled for about it?
Well, you can't tell anybody this.
I'm listening.
Oh my God, what are you doing?
Don't be ashamed to be a supporter of Barack Obama for the next 2 years or for the rest of your lives, because you should be proud of what you've done.
I worship Cthulhu just for the free beer.
But you didn't even give a chance for a wild card spot.
Well, the name of this podcast is Stuff Uncalled For?
This podcast is uncalled for.
Podcast, all right.
Yeah, that was the most ridiculous ending to that game that I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh, I gotta hurry up. Oh my gosh, I gotta hurry up. Oh my gosh, I gotta hurry up.
We're looking at each other in the eye. We're not going to say anything derogatory to the other person. And, of course, neither of us is drunk.
Another thing that differentiates Mormonism from Catholicism is I don't hear Pope Francis saying that he's a prophet, seer, and revelator.
See, this is a disgrace.
Hey, we're getting somewhere.
And now, your host for this podcast, Mike Chernefsky.
Fuji!
Welcome to today's podcast. So it occurred to me that something I brought up in our AMA about my post-Rams team, if you will, I added myself as an Arizona Cardinal fan. It occurred to me we actually went through the process of picking a new NFL team for me on the Winning Side Coaches podcast. And I did that with Controversy Keith Lott. And I think we'll share that process with you today. And I will close it with the final rationale and how I made my choice. So, enjoy.
Okay, so let me ask you this. When you look for your team, Are you looking for a team who you can just jump on a bandwagon, or are you looking for a team that's going to be a hard hat, team that's going to maybe take a couple of years to be successful, but you're going to enjoy it?
It's going to be the latter. Okay. I'm looking for the long term, because I've been a Ram fan pretty much my whole life until last year.
Well, you can just start with Cleveland.
All right, so
Cleveland's at the bottom of the
So
barrel.
how I figure we're going to do this is I guess we could go by division or alphabetically. I'm intentionally leaving off my list the other two teams that have recently been allowed to move.
Yeah.
That'd be the now LA Chargers and the soon-to-be Las Vegas Raiders.
Okay.
And that's out. Listen, folks in San Diego and Oakland, I truly feel for you.
Yes.
Everything. In the case of those two cities, I think you would have been screwed out of your teams anyway.
Yeah.
But the NFL did all three cities dirty. I think they did St. Louis the dirtiest. No question about it.
State of California in NFL is just chaos.
Yeah. There's a reason those teams left LA in the first place, and that's because LA is not much of a football town. Never has been.
Right.
All right.
Lakers, Clippers, and that's it. And then Dodgers.
Yeah.
So we will cancel out those teams out there in California, because you don't know, you're going to cheer for a team, your heart might get broken when they relocate.
Yeah.
A la St. Louis Rams.
Exactly.
So we'll leave those teams out of it.
Exactly. It's gone to I've not set foot in a Walmart since then. Seriously. Because all that Walmart money is eventually going to wind up in Stan's pocket too. So.
Oh, yes. So, yeah, you're really protesting, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, and don't go to Sam's Club either.
That's right, don't go to Sam's Club. So I guess, we'll do this by division. We traditionally start NFC and then do AFC. So I guess we'll start with the... because the Rams are in that division, we'll just finish the West.
Okay. Well, you've got your San Francisco, Kaepernick, Niners.
Okay. Remembering that I used to be a Rams fan, and San Francisco was always the big rival. I do painfully remember 17 straight losing to that team in the 90s, and I just do not see myself ever pulling for that particular
49ers.
team.
Okay.
So the 49ers are out.
Okay, cool. Well, we
right.
got the nice, well-versed coach of Arizona.
Okay, Arizona I would consider. That's another team, of course, that they were in St. Louis for a while.
Yeah.
Originally they were in Chicago. A
Yeah,
lot of people
Chicago
don't know
Cardinals,
that.
I believe. Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. In fact, they tend to forget that they were originally in Chicago before going to St. Louis and now Phoenix. The Cardinals are on my short list, if for no other reason, because Mike Bidwell, their current president of the team, is pro St. Louis. In fact, he was one of the more vocal owners during that whole debacle that was pro St. Louis and everything. And I've heard recently that he's picking up the slack where the Rams left off in terms of charity work in the St. Louis area. He's giving his well-earned, well-spent time and money in St. Louis, helping out with charities and everything. So
maybe he's setting up a relocation back from Arizona to St. Louis. So you might
how long has their stadium been around? Yeah, but that could be this.
Got a new stadium here pretty soon. They've been in Arizona for, they used to be the Phoenix Cardinals
they
too,
did.
right? Yeah,
they did. They played at Arizona State for the longest time.
Yeah, I guess during
and it's fairly recently that their current stadium opened, the University of Phoenix Stadium.
Yeah. Well, Arizona, they're getting a year older with a quarterback.
Yeah. Carson Palmer.
Yeah. Yes.
And again, the St. Louis guys, they got to a Super Bowl with Kurt Warner at quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their defense is all they know. They lost some key pieces on defense. I believe they lost one of their corners. Still have that other outstanding corner. Cardinals, I don't know if you really want to, because they still have to go against Seattle.
Yeah. That's the other team we need to talk about in this division, the Seahawks. So, yeah, Arizona on my short list.
Okay.
All right. Seattle, not so much. One of the things I look at in looking for a new team is how did the owner conduct himself during the whole LA thing?
Okay.
Paul Allen, the Seahawks owner, Microsoft money.
Mm-hmm.
The only owner in the league that's wealthier than Stan, believe it or not.
Yeah. Wow.
He was pro Stan in that whole.
So he was all with it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So based on that alone, I can't keep good conscience become a Seahawks fan.
Okay, so that pretty much wipes out the NFC West.
Yeah, all but Arizona.
Yes, so we'll put Arizona in.
All right.
We'll put them in number 3 so far, even though you don't have any other teams.
We've only listed one.
Yes.
We only listed one that's on the...
We're going to help you come up with a couple of more teams.
Oh, yeah, we will.
Okay.
Let's go to your division now, then, North.
Okay.
NFC North.
Well, we got another year where Minnesota sounds like they're kind of having more quarterback issues with a quarterback that was there before, Sam Bradford.
Yeah. Used to be in St. Louis.
Yeah. Bridgewater looks like he's having a hard time rehabilitating.
Mm-hmm.
They lost. Also, a great running back, for them. Mm-hmm. Lost that guy who went up to New Orleans.
Peterson,
Yeah, Adrian Peterson. And but their defense, they're still going to be there.
Yeah.
So
they just opened a new stadium last year too.
Yeah. So Minnesota, I don't know.
Minnesota's a tough one.
It's very cold there, so it's like cold weather.
Minnesota's a tough one. I've been to Minneapolis. I think Minneapolis is a beautiful city, probably the most beautiful in North America.
Yes.
So I like it. I liked Bradford when it was with St. Louis, of course.
Okay. You like the colors?
The purple and gold.
Okay.
And my high school which we're just down the street from, was the Vikings.
Okay, well, see, so we'll put them in.
We'll put them as a maybe because their owner was kind of in the Stan camp as well.
All right.
So Minnesota will be a maybe.
Okay, so we'll put Minnesota now at 3 and Arizona at 2. Okay.
All right.
All right. Then we got the Detroit Lions. Another year for Detroit. They're actually year with same quarterback. So yes, we don't know. No, he had a pretty good year last year. Probably pretty much his best year. So I think he's going to build on that. Running backs coming off injury, so he's going to be back in the form. Another year without Calvin Johnson, so they don't have to really go with that shock of losing a great wide receiver. Sure. So I'm pretty sure they're able to adjust with that. Then their defense, best in the division almost.
Now, Calvin Johnson, Hall of Famer, no.
Well, to me, you got to have. How long was he in the year? Was he in the league more than 10 years?
I think it was about 10 years.
Okay. I don't think. No, just because you didn't put T.O. in there. For a guy to retire in their prime, I don't think he should be considered a Hall of Famer. It's just something that you have to deal with as far as consequences if you retire when you're healthy. A Hall of Famer to me is somebody who's going to come there every day, put the team first, and the goal is to win a championship. And you're going to do whatever you need to do to achieve that goal, and play through injury, and willing to go through the wall for your team, and, for your associates. But if you're thinking about stuff personally, and your future, and being healthy, there's some consequences from that. I'm not saying that it's wrong at all. Don't get me wrong, but Hall of Famer, that's a person that was dedicated to the game 100% each day until he could not do it anymore.
All right. Detroit is not on my short list. I don't know how the owner, the Ford family, handled the LA situation, but I do know this: the Lions do have an 0-16 in their fairly recent past. Yeah. Well, that's a team you can actually just say, hey, they started from the bottom. Literally. Yeah. And interesting trivia. I have an uncle, my Uncle Lane, named after Bobby Lane.
Okay.
Mostly Detroit Hall of Famer. So. Okay. Yeah. Well, interesting fact.
Yes. Barry Sanders, too. Great running back that used to play for Detroit. One of my favorites.
Barry Sanders, a similar situation to Calvin Johnson. He retired in his prime, and he's in Canton.
Something about Detroit and people retiring in their prime, huh? Yeah. Well, you got your Green Bay Packers, which I can't stand. So hope you don't choose them.
Well, the Packers are on my short list, and I'll tell you something interesting about the Packers. They're the only community-owned team in pro sports in America.
Yes, they are.
My sister owns a share.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. That's kind of cool. So I definitely see why you want to cheer for them. And they lost Eddie Lacy, who we forgot to mention, went to Seattle to replace Marshawn Lynch. It's funny how Eddie Lacy... He
took a year off and now he's a Raider.
Yeah. And Eddie Lacy, they've been paying him bonuses for him to meet a weight. I think he just collected another $50,000 bonus for meeting a weight of 250 pounds. Wow. So Green Bay, obviously, too much cheese for Lacy. To get up out of there. And
funny.
Green Bay, they did some good things in the draft, too. I believe they picked up a good offensive player. So you also got Aaron Rodgers. Those receivers, whoever you put in there, whether it's Jordy Nelson or James Jones or Aaron Rodgers is the man in that division. They lost AJ Hawk though. So he's, I believe, retired. I think he actually lost a couple of years ago. They lost a couple of years ago. But I know they lost Jenkins. I believe they're one of their offensive linemen. I know he went to another team. And Aaron Rodgers is getting a year older. Last year, it did look like that the old man syndrome was kind of catching up with them because they went through a stretch where they didn't look great at all.
Yeah.
You know, there was a lot of turmoil in the locker room, and Mike McCartney, you know, they're going to have to figure it out because even though Aaron Rodgers is one of the greats, you know, it's only so long you can stay at the top. So
That's true. Ask Brett Favre.
Yes, yes. So it's interesting to see what Green Bay is going to look like this year.
Yeah.
And you got the Bears, you know, new Mitch Trubisky and Mike Lennon. You got Jordan Howard trying to see if he can become, I believe, 1 of 5 running backs to rush for 2,000 yards in their first season in Bears history. Vic Fangio is now taking over the defense. We signed a couple of new linebackers. I know Leonard Floyd. I actually think he's going to have a breakout sophomore season. You know, last year he a little bit light. Had to deal with a couple of injuries, but if he stays healthy, he's going to definitely be an elite pass rusher, an elite dominant force. I'm a little bit worried about Pernell McPhee, but you know, off that knee surgery, he's been having a little bit of issues with that. But like I said, the Bears needed anybody to cheer for them, so you know, we can always use an extra fan.
All right, I appreciate it. So, based on that alone, I might consider the Bears. I was going to not consider him because, believe it or not, I know you're from Chicago, and Tim is also a Bear fan.
Yeah,
I don't know if I knew that, but I never really had a good experience in Chicago personally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have to take you there one day. You know, take you around on the south side.
Yeah, my experience in Chicago has been pretty much limited to O'Hare and stuff north of it.
Yes.
And the bad weather and everything and being stuck there and all that good stuff. So you may have just moved the Bears to Navy territory.
Okay, so now we got the Bears, we got the Cardinals, and we got Minnesota Vikings.
Right, and the Packers. Okay. And the Packers, let's not forget them.
Yeah, so now I think you just want to become an NFC North fan, you know. So
we will see. Let's go through the rest of the league first. So let's go south, NFC South. Okay.
Well, we got the Carolina Panthers, the Philadelphia.
Absolutely not for Carolina.
Yeah.
Look, I respect Jerry Richardson for what he tried to do for St. Louis and everything. But we had this discussion in our last podcast about Steve Smith and being a thug.
Yeah.
And that is my overall impression of the Panthers as players being thugs.
Yeah. And they also lost the guy who we're going to talk about next. The next team is Washington in that division.
Washington's in the East.
No, they're in the East. So
it's Philadelphia.
So I did mention Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. So we got Carolina. We got New Orleans.
Okay.
We just gained Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
Drew Brees is getting another year older.
Yeah. And the Saints are on my short list.
Okay.
My mother was Cajun.
Okay.
She was born in Baton Rouge, actually.
Okay.
And I still have the aforementioned Uncle Lang lives in Baton Rouge.
Okay. So you're a big gumbo fan.
Yeah, that goes with being Cajun. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I would consider the Saints.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes, I know they had a terrible streak of losing, and then Katrina hits.
Yes.
I think that was definitely the turning points in that team's culture. It was Katrina.
Okay.
As a couple of years later, they're back in New Orleans and winning a Super Bowl.
Yes.
In fact, that was the last Super Bowl before my mother's passing.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, so you definitely need to keep them in there.
Yeah.
And with your Cajun background, you know, I'm definitely like Cajun, so I definitely understand why you want to root for that team.
Oh yeah.
Then we got the losers in the Super Bowl, Atlanta Falcons.
Okay. I appreciate what the Dirty Birds have done this past year. Arthur Blank, unfortunately, was pro Stan, so that's a strike against him. And Tim and I had this discussion on how old is too old for stadiums. Atlanta is ground zero for this.
Yeah.
I mean, the Georgia Dome, perfectly fine building as far as I know, being torn down for this monstrosity building built right next door, and then you have the Braves vacating Turner Field, which was built originally for the Olympics, being vacated in favor of something in the suburbs.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Sounds like a lot of city ordinances, going on there. A lot of taxpayers probably complaining.
And they have every right to complain.
Yeah.
I mean, that's taxpayer dollars being wasted needlessly, I think.
Well, for that reason, we won't include the Falcons in your choice.
And something that certainly St. Louisans can relate to, because the Dome's only 21 years old.
Yes.
22 now, yeah.
Well, jumped a little bit ahead talking about Philadelphia and Washington.
Yeah.
Take care of those two teams in the East.
We forgot about Tampa Bay.
Oh, yeah, Tampa Bay.
And Tampa Bay is not on my list. 2 words: Manchester United. The Glazer family who owns the Bucks also owns Man United, and of course I can't stand Manchester United.
Yeah, with Tampa Bay, they actually one of those teams who's going to be a sleeper this year. Jameis Winston, and then they got they picked up another receiver along with Mike Williams that they already had.
Right.
So Tampa Bay is setting themselves up for pretty much to be successful.
Right.
I believe they signed Landon Collins as well. So we'll definitely see what's going to go happen with Tampa Bay. But last year I think they finished second in that division, or was it third?
I don't know. I'm going to have to look at the standings.
Yes. Well, anyway, those teams in the South, seems like we're just going to go with New Orleans.
I will
pick them out.
Yeah.
So
we'll add the Saints to our little short list.
Yep. So we got 3 NFC North teams. We got the Cardinals and we got the Saints.
Right.
At some point you're going to have too many teams to choose from.
Exactly. I'd rather. That's why we're going through the whole league. We're narrowing it down.
Okay.
Making the list a little more manageable.
Well, we're going to make it where it's going to be 6 from each league, just like playoffs. Okay?
I don't know about that, but we'll see.
Okay.
NFC East.
Yes, you got your Philadelphia Eagles.
Philly, I would consider. I know their owner was a pro Stan in that thing, but I've always been a closet Eagle fan. I was a McNabb fan when he was playing for them, and everything. So I would consider.
Yeah, they got
Eagles.
a nice, great quarterback.
And they signed Chris Long during the offseason.
Okay, and Carson Wentz is there, and as a rookie, he looked
Wentz
great.
was pretty good.
Yeah.
Better than that kid that my old team drafted.
And to go back to receiver, I'm thinking about that signed with Tampa Bay. Brought it up because Deshaun Jackson used to play for Philadelphia, which we know he went to Washington. We will talk about here in a second. But he's now in Tampa Bay too. So you might want to consider Tampa Bay because they have a triple threat offensively. Like I said, with Winston, that team's going to score a lot of points. But so what do you think about the Philadelphia Eagles?
I just said I would put them on my list.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to go with the Washington Redskins.
Okay, Washington. First of all, I know that the Supreme Court just ruled that it was okay for them to keep the name. I still think they need to change the name.
Okay, right.
Number one. Also, in a past life as a security officer, last time Washington was here, I actually did security for them.
Okay.
So that was a pretty cool experience.
Okay.
But Shorty over there, Mr. Snyder, was very much pro Stan.
Okay.
And that plus the nickname controversy.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
I cannot put
we'll
Washington
definitely
on
cross
my
them
list.
out the list. What about your Giants? Signed Brandon Marshall?
I would consider the Giants.
Yep. They signed Landon Collins.
When we're talking about the whole LA situation, we have to keep in mind the LA committee, which voted 5-1 in favor of keeping the Rams in St. Louis, and the Carson plan, which would move the Chargers and Raiders to LA. John Mara was on that committee, as was the aforementioned Jerry Richardson, and they're both yes votes.
Okay.
So based on that alone, I would consider the New York Football Giants.
Okay. Also, is there any more teams out there? We went over Washington, which you said no. Philadelphia, the Giants, and there should be one more team out there.
Jerry fucking Jones.
Your lovable Cowboys. Who can forget America's
Jerry
team?
was Stan's biggest cheerleader in this whole LA thing. In fact, was mentioned by name in St. Louis's lawsuit as being a primary reason for that particular move.
Yeah.
So absolutely not for the Cowboys. And That was, and believe it or not, that was my mother's team, the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh.
But
If Dak Prescott goes down, they really have no backup now with them losing Tony Romo. So that'll be interesting to see how they will handle that adversity. Even if he doesn't go down with injury, can Dak Prescott have a repeat season as a rookie? Now that everybody's seen him and know what to expect.
And further on, Mr. is a travesty that he's being allowed into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, especially if what I'm hearing is correct, that his push for that move was what got him into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
If that is the case, that Canton, you need to shut your doors immediately.
Well,
there is absolutely no reason for that man to be anywhere near that building, except in a golf cart riding out of the stadium, being heckled by Browns fans, going, "Yo, Jerry's going back to Texas in a golf cart because his plane broke down."
Yeah, and then the way he ran out Jerry Johnson, I didn't really like how he did Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah,
you know, all of the power struggle and, hey, this is my team, you're going to listen to me, I'm the personnel guy. You know, hey, so Cowboys, you know, like I said.
We're going way back, Jimmy Johnson.
Oh, yeah, they have Fox.
Yeah.
Watt, it's one of my favorite guys, and I just think he got a bad deal, and for Barry Switzer to come in and try to take the credit, you know, like he was
Switzer won with Jimmy's players.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, so that finishes up the NFC.
Yeah. Because we've already excluded the Raiders and Chargers, and they both happen to be in the AFC West, so let's start there.
Okay. You got your Chiefs, which
absolutely not.
Okay, no
For
explanation needed.
Well, there are a number of reasons. There are a number of reasons. I've never been a Chiefs fan. I strongly dislike their fan culture. Yeah. It's home of the brave, not home of the Chiefs.
Arrowhead, Charles as well,
Arrowhead is hostile to visiting fans. Last time I was there, I almost got in a fist fight. I kid you not.
Yeah, and the guy actually got killed there a couple of years ago, I believe. So. Yep.
And we talked about that LA committee. I was 5-1. Guess who the one no vote was? Clark Hunt.
Yeah, wow. Well,
Clark Hunt pretty much, stabbed Missouri in the back.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, he probably wanted the only team in Missouri, what do you think? You know? So, probably didn't want to share that revenue down I-70 and with St. Louis. So, you know, so we won't put the Chiefs in there. You got the Denver Broncos, who has former Chief player Jamal Charles with them now.
Denver Broncos, favorite team of the South Park kids, at one time owned by Homer Simpson.
Yes.
I'm on the fence about the Broncos, actually. So, I respect their history and everything. They've done a couple of things I don't exactly agree with, but they will be.
Are you a John Elway fan?
John Elway was a good quarterback and everything, and has turned out to be a good executive too. Because he pretty much built that team last year that won it all.
And you know they got the reigning NFL MVP on that defense as well. So I don't know. Denver.
We'll put Denver on the maybe list.
Okay, cool. So we talked about the other two teams that you didn't want to talk about
because they are being relocated, and I feel for the fans that are being left behind.
It's pretty much going to be a two-team division.
Yeah. Although I will say this about the Chargers, since they're in LA now.
Yeah.
I hope they do better in LA than
the Rams. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
They probably will, the way that it's going, because I would take Rivers over golf any day of the week. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so that takes us, let's just jump all the way over east to the AFC East, where you got Baltimore. Am I correct?
Baltimore's in the north.
They're in the north. So we're
I guess we'll start with the north. Baltimore is not on my list.
Yes, Baltimore.
Bisciotti, not only was pro Stan in that thing, he actively said, why would we even have a team in St. Louis?
Yeah, this fucking idiot.
And let's not forget how this team was formed in the first place.
The former Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, the Art Modell stunt.
Yeah.
You cannot mention the name Art Modell in Northeast Ohio.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
So we'll leave them off the list.
Yeah, so Baltimore, out. Okay. And the thug thing, too, that we talked about with Carolina also applies to Baltimore.
Cool.
You know.
So what about Pittsburgh?
Well, full disclosure, my father's from Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And they're all Steeler fans on that side of the family.
Okay.
And
so do you want to go against your family, or do you want to go with them? Is the question.
Pittsburgh is on my short list.
Okay.
Again, LA committee. Rooney was on that LA committee, one of those. Yes.
And I always respect how Dan Rooney and the Rooney organization ran their team. They get a coach in there. Pittsburgh.
Dan Rooney just passed away not too long ago.
Yes.
And, it's his kids now. Hard to Dan Jr. I think.
You are correct.
The team.
Yes. And they bring a coach in there. They only had 3 coaches within the last 30, 40 years of that franchise.
50 almost. Yeah.
You know,
Chugnall in the 70s and then Cower and now
Tomlinson, you know, so Tomlin. So Pittsburgh is a great choice to cheer for. Who else do we have in that division? We went over Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and then we got
Cleveland and Cincinnati.
Yes, so
we'll start with Cleveland. Yes, I know they've been terrible since coming back as an expansion team.
They picked them up for the quarterback, didn't they?
No, I don't know what they...
They drafted, number one, they drafted, I believe, Myles Garrett, but I believe he's hurt now. You know, he just hurt himself here last week and in some type of off-season training. So through the door of Cleveland, it's kind of facing some adversity, as usual with the draft picks. They lost Brown, I believe. So,
well, believe it or not, I talked about Jerry Jones exiting the Canton Stadium in a golf cart because and being talked about Browns fans. That was the first game back for the new Browns in '99, the Hall of Fame game, Dallas and Cleveland, which I actually went to that game.
Okay.
With my father, the Steeler fan, and our seats. Yeah, Canton's only like an hour south of Cleveland.
Okay.
All right. Our seats were right in the dog pound.
Right. Okay.
And those people are just tremendous. Those they're just great fans in the dog pound. And
so from that experience, you sound like
I really had a good time in the dog pound.
Okay. Well, we'll put them on.
They are on my short list.
On your medium list now.
Yeah.
Okay. And the Bengals. Since you already chose an Ohio team, we're not going to let you choose 2 teams from Ohio this time. Not today.
Actually, I considered the Browns, but it's their inability to win in crunch time. I mean, they've gone over 2 decades without a playoff win.
Yeah, they got there, but
they get their playoffs, but can't make it happen.
Yeah, Andy Dalton. I think
this predates Dalton. You have to go. Yeah, Carson Palmer.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. Who ironically took Arizona to the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know, and was successful.
Yeah.
So this goes to show you, it's the players around the organization. There was nothing wrong with Carson Palmer.
Right.
You know, it's just the people and the coaching around.
It's all about Mike Brown.
Yep.
Seriously, son of a legend, son of Paul Brown and everything, but historically doesn't know all that much about running a successful operation. I don't think so.
So we'll jump to the East here.
So put Cincinnati on the maybe list.
Okay. So we got Cincinnati and Cleveland out that division.
And Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we'll jump over here to the East. East, we got those Colts who has done nothing. Yeah, that's
NFC
South with the Colts, who has done nothing to help Andrew Luck in protecting. You know, he just had shoulder surgery.
Well, believe it or not, the Colts are coming back on my list. I wasn't too happy with Jimmy Irsay's decision to be pro Stan in that thing. But another thing is, the Colts were always my B team after the Rams.
Okay.
The 2 teams that share a lot of history through the ownership of Rosenblum.
Yeah. And players such as
players. Marshall Faulk, Eric Dickerson.
Yes. Yep. So we'll keep them on the list.
Yeah, so the Colts will stay on my short list, yeah.
What about the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Jacksonville, no.
Okay.
Ironically, Shad Khan was screwed out of buying the Rams in St. Louis, and actually bought Actually, it sounds like he bought Stan's bullshit about St. Louis.
Huh.
That being said, he's at least trying to make it work in Jacksonville.
Right.
I know a lot of people are clamoring for the Jaguars to move, but at least he's trying to make it work. And they have a lease there for another 10 years.
They do have some pieces in place. They got Bortles down there, a couple of good receivers.
On the flip side, no, he is another owner that's invested in English football. In his case, it's Fulham.
Okay.
All right. And I always criticize him as a bad owner because of how Fulham have done under his stewardship. His first year owning Fulham, they get relegated from the Premier League. And they've been second division ever since.
Okay. So it sounds like we're going to put them in your list.
Yeah, they're not going to be on the list.
Okay, all right.
They're not going to be on the list.
Try to get them to get you on there, have a heart. You don't want to have one today. That takes us up to the Dolphins and Patriots.
No, we're still in the South.
Yeah,
we're still in the South. So that's Tennessee and Houston.
Yes, you're right. You're right about that. Tennessee.
Houston is on my short list, so we'll start with the Texans.
Okay.
Houston is on my short list for a few reasons. I have a lot of family in Houston from my mom's side.
Okay.
I know where the stadium is.
Okay.
Right next to the Astrodome.
J.J. Watt's coming back.
Yeah.
He's also somebody to cheer for.
We talked about that LA committee. Bob McNair was on that LA committee. He was one of the yes votes, and it was pretty complimentary of St. Louis's stadium plans, and we just need to change a few details here and there, and then that's when the league went crazy.
Okay.
Okay. So based on all that alone, yes, I know they have yet to get to a Super Bowl and everything, but I would consider the Texans.
Yeah. Who's their quarterback?
I don't know who their quarterback is.
Because they got rid of Osweiler, right?
They did.
Actually, he's now in Cleveland, so
yeah.
I don't know if you want to put Cleveland on your list.
Cleveland stays on the list.
Yeah. But, Houston, can't think of who their quarterback is right now, but actually their defense is going to be still strong. They did lose a couple of players.
Right.
But other than that, they still have that core with Clowney and with Lott coming back strong. That defensive line, which actually just starts to me as winning the championship. And then the offense, they still got the running back, Lamar. Lost me right now with his name. But then they have the other outstanding wide receiver, So that finishes up the East. I mean,
we still have the Titans to talk about. The Tennessee Titans.
Titans, they lost. They got Mariota, and Bears actually picked up one of their good receivers in Kendall Wright. So what do you think about the Titans?
Okay, so the Titans, I'm leaning no, and here's why. Because I have respect for my late mother, who, when they left Houston for Tennessee, she refused to call them the Titans. She called them the Spoilers.
Right. Yeah.
And I think she was quite bitter about that particular move.
Yeah. Well,
so I have respect for my mother.
We'll eliminate them.
Yeah, we'll eliminate Tennessee.
Okay. Well, that leaves us.
That's the East.
Yeah, we're going to leave off the Patriots. Patriots don't need any more fans to really cheer for them. They already got a dynasty. Yeah. I'm going to leave them out of here. So no Patriots. Let's talk about the Miami Dolphins.
All right, I'm going to leave the Patriots off too. I have respect for my brother, I was going to consider the Patriots, but my brother kind of talked me out of it. Said, we're going to have some problems if you include the Patriots. And also, let's not forget who their first of the Super Bowl wins was against. So,
those nice Rams.
Yeah, when I was still a fan.
Yeah, I still remember that play.
Yeah.
It's 2 yards short. 2 yards short.
Yeah.
So, how do you think about the Dolphins?
No.
No Dolphins.
So as you are probably aware, they did have that vote for the Raiders, which, unlike the LA votes, was not a secret ballot.
Okay.
There was only one owner to vote against the Raiders move, and that was Ross.
Sure. Well,
And his rationale just pisses me off to no end. His rationale is, we shouldn't needlessly rip City's other teams. Then why was he pro Stan then if that's his rationale?
right.
So
No Dolphins.
no Dolphins.
Okay.
And on the subject of the Dolphins, interesting fact, Dan Marino went to the same high school as my father.
Okay. Well, you're not a Dan Marino fan?
Well, he's been out of the game for a while.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure your father was, though, right? Dan Marino. Hey, I went to school with that guy.
Well, they went to the same school.
Yeah.
My father was
Yeah.
before him. No, my father was 2 years behind Frank Bull, who just recently retired from
Okay.
local sports radio.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
All right.
same high school, Central Catholic High School in Pittsburgh.
Okay. So we went over the Patriots and the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Who else is left?
Buffalo and the Jets,
Yeah.
and both are no's.
Okay. So
Again, the whole
state of New York. Just
the
no.
whole pro stand. What? Giants?
Yeah. Well, you did pick the Giants.
Yeah. So both Johnson and whoever the new owners in Buffalo were pro stand.
And plus the Jets, they always seem like they're stuck in the middle of rebuilding. You know.
Yeah.
They're always rebuilding. Just got rid of Marshall. I don't know if they're going to get rid of Forte, but they tried to, bring these one-year players on and thought they was going to boost them up to the playoffs. They lost Rex. Rex didn't do anything.
Fat ass.
Obviously. Now he's in Buffalo.
No, he got fired from Buffalo.
Yeah, wow. So now he's jobless.
Yeah, Rex Ryan, who we refer to on this podcast as fat ass.
Okay. Mr. Fat Ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll go look at somebody's feet somewhere, I guess. All right, so that takes us.
So we have a shorter list of teams I would consider.
Yes.
So NFC, we have Arizona, Chicago, Green Bay, Minnesota,
Yes.
New Orleans, and
The Giants.
and Philadelphia.
Yes.
So it's 7. AFC with Denver, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Houston, Indianapolis. So it's that is a total of 13 teams. So
Okay.
we've pretty much eliminated a little more than half the league.
Okay. So now, when you're going to go through this list next time, we're going to actually look at the football aspect of it.
Yeah.
And we're going to go with the players and the talent. And that'll help you make a better decision. And the culture.
Yeah.
See who you're going to chip in.
And taking a serious look at their history of winning as well. And
Yes, sir.
everything. So,
All right. Well, hope we can be a big help to you.
oh, yeah.
So you got a lot of homework.
I'd like
to
some
do.
more inputs on this because this is the type of decision you don't make lightly. But this is possibly a decision that will affect me for the rest of my life. And
Yes. Hopefully, no relocating will go on. So you
exactly,
definitely-
that's going to be a big thing.
we're going to look up the leases of these teams first.
Yeah. All right, hope you enjoyed that. So, that final rationale. I saw a Facebook post. Hang on, I'm going to... Oh, here it is. Here it is. So, October 9, 2017. So about 2 years ago. Posted by Randy Carricker, who is a sports talk show host in St. Louis. And this was a Facebook post. The post is, quotes, "Is there still an Arizona Cardinals fan club in St. Louis? The Cardinals were definitely one of the two teams that voted against the Inglewood Project." By the way, who is the other team? Carolina Panthers. And I should point out that Randy was at that infamous meeting with the infamous votes. So let's review the list that Keith and I came up with versus the list that Randy gave us. Arizona was on the list. Carolina, no, not at all. So by default, I became an Arizona Cardinal fan. Yes, as I said before on this podcast, it is kind of an irony that I would be switching my allegiance from one team that left St. Louis to another. But again, I understand now that the circumstances between the two teams were completely different. There's also a lot of crossover appeal for me. As you all know, Kurt Warner, another interesting crossover from that Rams team was Aeneas Williams. Before he came to the Rams, he was an Arizona Cardinal for the longest time. He is currently, not only is he a Hall of Famer, but he is also a pastor in the St. Louis area, specifically Ferguson. One of the Arizona stories regarding Aeneas Williams that comes to my mind happened during the Pro Bowl, but involved another Arizona Cardinal player named Larry Centers. And the story went like this. Centers and Williams were on the Pro Bowl team one year, and Centers started going a little crazy. Called his coach at the time the devil. He was at one point taken out into the Pacific Ocean with Aeneas Williams, and he was also joined by Chris Carter and the late Reggie White, and baptized in the Pacific Ocean. Now, what's interesting to me is that the three guys that were doing the baptism are all now enshrined in Canton. Centers should be in Canton because he leads all running backs in career receptions and was a fullback. And another thing about the Arizona Cardinals, they were the team of the late Pat Tillman. I'm still not at the point where I can comfortably sit and just watch an NFL game, especially in the context of what those people did to me and anyone that called themselves a St. Louis Ram fan, when they essentially lied to us about their intentions of staying and then lied to everyone else about us not being good football fans. That still stings. And as you heard me say before on this podcast, and you probably heard already in my conversation with Keith, that there was absolutely no way that could support the local NFL team, especially considering he was the one owner in that LA committee that's voted against St. Louis. So now you know why I am now an Arizona Cardinal fan, even though I'm not nearly as diehard as I was for the other team. That being said, thank you so much for your time. Keep supporting the podcast, and we will talk to you again soon. This podcast is uncalled for. It was hosted, produced, and edited by myself, Mike Chernevsky. Opening music is Fantasia Fantasia by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution, 4.0 license. Outro music is Impulse by Parallel Park, created under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike license. Additional music included Morocco Sting by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution, 4.0 license. And No Frills Salsa Alternate by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution, 4.0 license.
If you would like to support this podcast or any of Mike's other creative endeavors, please consider making a donation at patreon.com/Mike Chernevsky. That's MikeCzerniewski. Donations over $5 will receive a special thanks on a future podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time.